Upper Iowa's coming off a 34-31 double overtime victory at Wayne State of Nebraska last Saturday. That victory guarantees the Peacocks 3 straight winning seasons for the first time in 50 years. And joining me right now is the play-by-play voice of Upper Iowa football, Joe Stasi. Joe, the first half of the game maybe wasn't the best played game, but Upper Iowa went out and got the job done.
Yeah, again, Elwin, thanks for having me on. And again, everybody at Upper Iowa University certainly appreciate your efforts and putting Upper Iowa in the limelight, being the only NCAA Division II school in the state. We certainly appreciate all of the publicity we can get. And yeah, we went over to Wayne State last Saturday afternoon with the hopes of garnering our 6th win of the season, which, again, ironically enough, the last 3 seasons it's come down to this game against Wayne State to whether or not we secure our 6th win of the season. And it wasn't a pretty first half at all, but Upper Iowa did get it done in double overtime, 34-31 off of the foot of Brady Boyschel, a 34-yard field goal to secure the win. And before we get into the game real quick, you just have to take your hat off to the coaching staff, and in particular Tom Shea. He took this program over 7 years ago, and it was a fledgling program at the NCAA Division II level, and at that point it had been in the NCAA 4 or 5 years maybe, NCAA Division II, and people were wondering if that was the right move. The other programs at Upper Iowa were starting to come along, but the football wasn't, and Tom Shea initiated his recruiting with his assistant coaches, developed these kids with the Red Shirt program, and took a lot of Iowa high school all-conference players at all levels, Class A all the way up to 4A, and has really developed these kids into winners, and they compete at the top level. I'm just so proud to be associated with Upper Iowa, and so very proud of the job that Tom Shea has done at Upper Iowa. But, you know what, it was a listless first half. Upper Iowa got out to a quick 7-0 lead. They had a short field to work with, a 3-play, 43-yard drive. Brent Lammers hit Derek Portis for a 39-yard touchdown. And then Wayne State, the way they got on the board first, it was a backwards lateral pass that they scooped up, went 37 yards with the PAT, tied it up 7 apiece. And then the second quarter was pretty brutal. Only 7 points scored, and that was Wayne State 8-play, 84-yard drive that was capped off by Taylor Reedy, hit Trae Toussaint, and so at halftime, Wayne State was on top 14-7, and in the third quarter, that was really there was the good, the bad, the ugly, and it was really bad and really ugly in the third quarter for Upper Iowa. I don't know how many punts they had. It was 7 or 8 punts, 5 or 6 punts rather. But Wayne State was on top 17-7 at the end of the third quarter, and then Upper Iowa in the fourth quarter. 27 fourth quarter points, 27 fourth quarter and overtime points for the Peacocks. It just seems like they turned on a switch, and Upper Iowa got back to within 3, a 7-play, 47-yard drive. Brent Lammers hit Jalen Amos for a touchdown, and then what looked to be the backbreaker with only 6:50 left to go, Wayne State regained or extended their lead 24-14 with a touchdown, and Upper Iowa then went back to work. Brady Boyschel capped off a 10-play, 78-yard drive. Trey McTaggart hauled in the Brent Lammers touchdown pass, and then Brady Boyschel to get back to within 3. Upper Iowa's defense forced a 3-and-out, and Upper Iowa had 13 plays, 45 yards. Their drive stalled in the red zone, and into the wind, Brady Boyschel nailed a 30-yard field goal to tie it up at 24-24. Both teams had the ball with under a minute to play, 2 minutes to play rather, and neither team could score. Thus, it went to overtime, and Upper Iowa wasted no time in overtime. Just their third play, Brent Lammers, the true freshman quarterback out of West Delaware, hit Trey McTaggart, ironically enough, out of West Delaware for a touchdown. And then Wayne State got the ball, because in college football, obviously, you start at the 25-yard line, you get as many downs as afford to get in the end zone. You can get first downs, obviously, and Wayne State converted on 2 fourth-down conversions, and on their second, got in the end zone for a touchdown, 31-31. Wayne State then got the football to start the second overtime period, and due to our defensive line and linebackers pressuring Wayne State quarterback, Nick Corley came up with a huge interception, and then it took 4 plays and 9 yards for Brady Boyschel to notch his 13th field goal of the season, which is tied an Upper Iowa record, and secured Upper Iowa's 34-31 win. Just a marvelous football game to call, and so proud that Upper Iowa has their 3rd winning season in a row.
So Upper Iowa now coming back off the road, a very confident football team after winning that tight ball game, and it's senior day as the Peacocks get ready to host their home finale against the University of Sioux Falls.
Yeah, and we'll get into Sioux Falls in a second. They're a very mean nationally ranked team. Nick Corley will say his goodbyes to Upper Iowa, a 6'1", 190-pound senior out of Milwaukee, plays in the secondary. Alex Wall, Derek Hirschman, 2 all-conference linebackers will say goodbye, playing the last college football game. Jake Johnston, right out of Maynard, he'll play his last college football game as well. Will Javel Rollins, our defensive lineman, Cody Milgis, part of our very stout defensive line, and Weston Neuendorf on our offensive line. These guys will all suit up for the last time, and it should be an emotional send-off for these guys, because every one of these kids that I just mentioned contribute to the program.
Sioux Falls, I know it's a very tough opponent, but this is a team that lost and got blown out by Minnesota State 44-3, so I'm sure this will be a team that comes to Fayette with the goal of still making the playoffs, but they're desperate for a win this week.
You got that right, Elwin, and it's a great point. University of Sioux Falls missed the playoffs last year with 2 wins. They went down to the Mineral Water Bowl and blew out an Oklahoma team this year. Last week, they went up to Minnesota State, so 2 national powers went at it last week, and it didn't really surprise a whole bunch of folks that Minnesota State beat University of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's just the way they did it, 44-3, shut down a very potent offense, and so University of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, right now in the Super Region 3, NCAA Division II, there's 4 conferences. The Northern Sun, of course, is one of them. The top 7 teams make the NCAA Division II playoffs. So out of all these conferences, there's 47 teams, and only 7 get to go. Right now, Minnesota State is number 2, Augustana is number 5, and the University of Sioux Falls, South Dakota is number 7. So on paper, if the University of Sioux Falls, South Dakota Cougars get this win over Upper Iowa, they will make the NCAA Division II playoffs. So they're going to be ready. They're going to be ready to punch Upper Iowa in the mouth, and Upper Iowa just has to match their intensity to keep this a close ball game.
Last time these two teams got together in Fayette was 2 years ago, 30-28. Upper Iowa pulled out a 2-point win. The University of Sioux Falls leads this series 2-1. What can you tell me about Sioux Falls? What type of game are you expecting on Saturday?
Well, they have an all-conference quarterback and an all-American quarterback by the name of Luke Papillon. He's also their leading rusher. He's rushed for close to 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's thrown for 2,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. A huge, deep offensive line that just protects the heck out of him. Numerous offensive weapons on the perimeter. Brady Rose is a huge wide receiver. Josh Angulo. And then in the backfield, there's a kid by the name of Garrett Shutt, who has rushed for close to 600 yards. But they score 39 points a game. They give up 21. Very balanced offensively. They rush for 202 yards. They pass for 273. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they just, barring last week, take away last week, they shut people down. 16 interceptions, 32 sacks on the season. So they really get after people up front. They convert on third downs. They're 50% on third downs, 50% on fourth downs, and in the first quarter, Elwin, they outscore their opponent so far in the season 143-44. So you throw away last week's game against a top-ranked Minnesota State squad, and this University of Sioux Falls team is the real deal, and you know, it's a huge mountain to climb for these Upper Iowa Peacocks this week at Harms Eyesight.
Obviously, it sounds like the first quarter may be the key as far as the Upper Iowa side of things go, and getting control of that game early. What would a 7th win mean to this Upper Iowa program?
Well, it's something that hasn't been done in my 13 years of being a play-by-play broadcaster for Upper Iowa. You'd have to go back to the early 60s when Eb Eyesight was at the helm. The last time Upper Iowa put together some winning seasons, back to back like that. But 7 wins would be huge for recruiting. You knock off a nationally ranked team. it would be incredible for the seniors in particular, and great for recruiting, and great for Upper Iowa. I'm expecting Upper Iowa to come out and make it a football game, and again, Upper Iowa has pleasantly surprised me this year. After losing 28 seniors last year, we didn't have a quarterback. We didn't know who our wide receivers were going to be. Our offensive line was basically eliminated except for one kid. So hopefully Upper Iowa has one more surprise for all the fans, and it would be great this Saturday afternoon, the noon kickoff at Harms-Eichheim.
It would make a senior day very special for those outgoing class of 7 players. Again, it's a noon kickoff at Harms-Eichheim Stadium. If you can't make it to the game in Fayette, we'll have all the play-by-play coverage starting with pregame coverage here